Hello everybody, it's Dalton2K5.
You have to come quick. He's here.
Who's here? Who is this?
It's Daria. From the crime scene. Do you remember? I'm at home. Pardon the crossroads. Please, hurry. I need you one thing.
Are you still there? Daria.
Alright guys, this is a guide to help people figure out exactly how to actually get through the final harvest. I messed this one up, so I decided to go through it all over again from the beginning and do a full walkthrough so you can understand exactly what you guys need to do. There's a lot of cuts here, a lot of wipes, and some fast forwarding sections in between traveling from one spot to another.
My Interpol friend, it's dangerous for you to be out in the street tonight. What are you doing here?
I was about to ask you the same
Alright.
thing.
How this happened is, as you saw in the beginning of the video, I got out of Task Force 29 while the city was in martial law, with police pretty much locking down everything.
Just like Angela Gunn.
After that, I got a call from
So it's the same
Daria
person doing all
at this point saying, hey, she needs help because the murder is coming after
Not
her.
sure where all this is going, but
Not,
I've been looking at all
well, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you watched my video already,
Marek Svobotka.
then you already know exactly what happened.
He's supposed to be dead, yet this killer seems to... Little habits that were never
But
made
I'll
public.
go through all the choices that are needed necessary here,
Just to make sure
and
Svobodka's
you'll
still
see
dead.
exactly what you need to do. As far as I know, the detective montage, nothing really matters. As long as you talk to the guy before you go in there, everything's fine.
That doesn't explain what you're doing here.
It's still my case, isn't it? And it's still open. I was hoping that maybe Daria suddenly remembered something. Hey, what about you? You know very well that your Interpol ID doesn't mean shit tonight. Hell, I should be arresting you right now.
I don't have time for this. Daria's in trouble and I need to get inside. You do whatever you have to.
All right. I suppose you should check on your friend. I'll take a look around the building. You know, in
Yeah, by
case.
saying press,
Just
like I
try
did
not to
earlier,
get caught.
it makes it so you can force this conversation to be over with real quick. Because it really doesn't matter what you say to him. And this is a quick fast forward through a hacking part, so you can get into a room. Alright, there we go. If you need a guide for trying to actually hack into a place, then you haven't been playing this game very long, and you probably haven't gotten to this point yet in the game anyways. And here I go try to find everything that will actually pertain to, well, the Final Harvest side quest. These are all items that pretty much show exactly who the murderer could be, just evidence, stuff like that. Which boils down to bloodstain, bear, the journal. There's a needle in the bathroom. There is a code on the wall. There's hydroponic needles. Hypodermic needles, my bad. And last but not least, actually this is certainly not least, is the cat collar. Now that's important, so that you can actually get into the computer without having to hack it. Because Security Rank 84 is kind of hard. Now this is actually one of the few times where it doesn't actually like enter it in automatically. You have to put in Starlight, the name on the collar. When you're done with it, you go over and press enter on the keyboard. And you'll be in. And this is when you find out about Dr. Sipper. This was all stuff that I missed in my playthrough. And from here I just go ahead and pick out the little bit of extra details I missed.
Have tracked down and captured the bomb maker, whose deadly explosive devices claimed the lives of dozens of innocent travelers.
And then that's it.
Demolition specialist named Allison Stanek. Appears to be a religious fanatic and leader of the tech cult group, Church of the Machine God. Police arrested her and assembled.
And they actually say it's optional to travel to the next area where Dr. Cipra, yeah, was, but it's really not optional if you want the trophy. If you want the trophy achievement, whatever system you're playing on, you have to go there. And I'll fast forward to the point where I'm finally over there and getting to a spot, which actually is very close to the metro station, so you don't have to take too long to get there. Just don't get caught in standard shit. Yeah, there it is, Dr. Zipra's place. Now, with this place, it's best to go ahead and talk to the doctor right away, but I decided the first time I played this, when I got in here, was to go straight upstairs. I totally missed the doctor standing there. But it's all good because you need to go up here anyways. Now there's two entrances. There's this one, but the security rating 5. Or you can go through a gas-filled vent. It is best to obviously have the thing that actually protects you from gas here. But you're only in gas for like a few seconds anyways. Even if you didn't, you'll probably be just fine.
I was talking about some serious shit, so let's keep going. I feel ill. And not just because I'm watching.
Now there actually isn't a whole lot here that I found right away. You can go and hack into his place, but there's really not much here right away. I will come back to this after I talk to Dr. Cipra.
Access granted.
Outside of the little thing saying 69843 talking about our good. All that code actually means something, and you can unlock the door that way too. And then I figured out, oh, look at that! Dr. Zipra's actually downstairs, derp.
No, what the hell? What are you doing here? It's after curfew. It's dangerous.
And I'll let this pretty much just play out by itself.
Curfews are just...
I don't believe there was too many choices you could make that really change what happens. But just follow what I put on there if you want to make sure that you get through without any problems.
I'm not at liberty to divulge anyone's personal information.
I'm asking for your help. Daria's missing. She's gotten herself mixed up in these harvester killings.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't see what that has to do with me. Or with you, for that matter.
Before going after her, I want to make sure I have all the information I need. I read the email you sent her. You seemed very concerned. Something about a neural surgery you performed. Why was it so important for her to meet you here?
I used to know Daria. She was a patient of mine.
Your patient? You mean here at the drugstore?
No, of course not. Before that, when I used to work for Tai Yong Medical, big tech corporation. You know it?
Enough to know I don't like where this is going.
I headed a project, the cutting edge of neural science and cellular memory replacement. We dealt with people suffering from severe social disorders. We were making people better by making them better people.
Actually, I believe that all this stuff does matter.
I
So,
found a way to isolate specific character traits.
pick the choices I use to get through it if you don't have the
from select individuals and
social
insert them
enhancer,
into
which I
a
didn't at the
word
time when I recorded this part.
less gifted. Take a man like yourself, for example. Would have given you a sense of humor.
I'm funny enough as it is. Now how about you tell me what went wrong? Something obviously did.
We were trying to help people. Imagine what it would mean if we succeeded. Anxiety, gone. Apathy, gone. Depression, gone.
Diversity gone, spontaneity gone, individuality gone. But you probably left that part out of your sales pitch.
Daria is responsible for what Daria does. The only reason Tai Young forced me to get involved is because so much is at stake for them. Big brand name to protect. I've met their lawyers, men whose briefcases are filled with broken teeth. You must understand.
I'm trying to save Daria. If any part of you cares about what happens to her, now is the time to tell me. What do I need to know to help her?
Daria is beyond help. You're wasting your time.
That's for me to decide. Now tell me about this procedure. And you can quit stalling, because I'm not going anywhere until I get the answers I need.
My job was to address people's deficiencies by integrating donor personality packages. That meant we needed lots of confident volunteers to donate time to our project. As you can imagine, people weren't exactly lining up to have a scrape inside their heads. So Tai Young had to diversify.
Once again, not sure I like where this is going.
Tai Young Medical cut a deal with various penitentiaries. Prisoners who took part in our programs, they got granted little perks, bigger cells, running water. The prisons, they benefited from facility upgrades. It was a win-win.
You implanted the personality traits of prisoners into the mentally unstable? Smart. Let me take a wild guess. Daria's donor was Marek Svobotka, better known as the Harvester.
Donor number 698843. All I saw, all I was given, was a series of test scores that showed a perfect match. Everything she was missing, he had. Nothing else mattered at the time.
Your test subject's been murdering people all over Prague. Maybe you'll be next.
What? She didn't actually mention me, did she?
Is that all you care about? Your own skin?
It's not all I care about, but it's a very high priority.
Then let's put it this way. She's not the only one you need to be scared of right now.
All right. Look, we obviously want the same thing here. Daria has a neural chip installed just above the hairline. She won't let you get anywhere near it. So if you're serious about putting an end to this, you'll have to, you know.
What, kill her?
That would be my preference, yes. Or I suppose you could just incapacitate her, but then you run the risk of having her wake up. Not a risk I would take personally.
There must be another way. Something that doesn't involve attacking her.
I wish I could help you. Unless you're willing to meet violence with violence, Daria's not a victim. Chip or no chip, she is behind this, and she will try to attack you no matter what you do. She must be held accountable.
Maybe, but I still think you're hiding something.
Look, I'm the only one who can analyze the data and find out exactly what went wrong. Make sure this never happens again. Please, you must agree to incapacitate Daria and remove the chip. Bring it back to me, and I promise, you will be compensated.
We'll see.
No telling what kind of freaks are coming out of there.
Alright, now that the conversation is finally done, because it's it's the longest conversation in the entire thing, save for the very end. Head back upstairs. There's something I missed the first time I went in here. It's behind the fridge. This is very easy to miss. You need to grab this ebook, and it tells you, tells you something about pretty much a safe word or safe code. And then head back down and talk to Dr. Cipra again.
What do you want from me now?
I know there's a keyword that can shut down the chip. I read about it in your notes. Why would you try to keep that from me?
Because I knew you would overestimate what it could do. You're a fool if you think you can just walk up to a killer and say a magic word. It won't undo what she's become. The decision to act on Svobodka's memories, to repeat them, that was all Daria. Simply shutting down the chip at this point will not be sufficient.
That's for me to decide. What's the override phrase?
Ad hominem 2026. But I warn you, do not turn your back on her. And do not underestimate her responsibility in all of this. We all have terrible nightmares. We all have visions of sick and terrible things we could do. But we don't all act on them. You must be careful around her.
And there you go. You got that very, very pivotal piece of information. So from here, I'm going to fast forward where I accidentally caught that guy's attention and head all the way back to the place where we left off, which is the apartment complex. Oh yeah, I barely avoided getting caught there by one of those big freaking Titan dudes, or whatever the heck you want to call them. And here we are, back at the... Now...
Keep your head down.
Honestly, all you really need to do here is... head down into the sewers, bud. I decided to take the long way around again. So you follow the blood trail. Oh, I missed the broken frame too. It's just not a piece of evidence that really doesn't matter when all is said and done. But you go ahead, look into the vent, open it, if you want to play it like it is, like the mission says to, and follow the trail. And like I said, it eventually will lead you down to one, a bloody cloth, or torn cloth, and the sewers. Okay, now this is a very important part. I had told you earlier I didn't have the social enhancer. The social enhancer is what is required to actually get the trophy on this mission. Because if you do not have it, you cannot continue a conversation with Daria to actually get the trophy. That is one of the main reasons I messed up the first time through.
I knew you'd find me. We must hurry before he comes back.
Before who comes back? The man who killed Angela Gunn?
Yes. He knows you're after
By this
him.
point,
He wants
Adam Jensen already knows she's just bullshitting her way through it. You know that she's actually the
I
harvester.
know what's going on here. I know there's no one else out there. I ran into an old friend of yours. The name Cipra mean anything to you?
You mean Dr. Cipra? Where did you dig him up?
He's worried about you.
He's worried about himself. He's worried about Taiyong Medical. They're willing to kill to cover things up, to preserve their precious image. Their reasons are savage compared to mine.
This is when you use the keyword you got.
I don't believe this is who you are. Something changed in you after Cipra's surgery. Made you do things you would never have done otherwise, for reasons that aren't your own. But it's not too late.
Don't be so naive. I am who I've always been. Cipra's surgery, all it did was give me access to another man's technique, his courage to follow through.
I can still help you.
And that's when you say ad hominem 2026.
Ad hominem 2026.
Now the thing is here, after you use this,
What did you do?
if you do not have the KC Social
Is that
Enhancer
how
mod,
machines pray?
Listen to me.
you cannot continue the
neural chip that
conversation
Dr.
long
Silver
enough.
installed in you is in the process of shutting down. Try to focus. This
Will not
version
give
of you that's been
you enough
hurting
time,
people,
or give the
I don't
neural
believe that was
implant that
really
she
you.
has enough time to actually shut down
Then
before you try to take the
you
gun from
don't
her.
know me very well.
And then you'll have to fight her.
Why? Why should this change anything? The procedure gave me access to memory banks that weren't my own. The choice to draw on those memories was mine alone. You can't take them from me.
The shutdown process may take some time. There may be lingering effects, but that doesn't mean it's too late to help you.
You really believe that, don't you? All right. Prove it. Approach me. Come closer. Save me from all those horrible things Dr. Sipra did. There's nothing to be scared of, right? Surely whatever trace of the harvester was inside me is gone now.
Yeah,
that
she's
you've
bullshitting
said the
right now.
magic words.
This is when you press R2 to
Obviously,
persuade
more
and you
help
go
than I can
into the
offer.
KC
But
mode.
that doesn't mean it's not out there.
No,
Whatever
this
power
is
the
actually kind of
neural chip
confusing because
had
she's
over you should
essentially
diminish
fighting
now. You should
two
be able to
personalities.
fight whatever urges Svoboda's memories inspired in you.
I don't need help. You do.
So when you look at her alignment
need
analysis,
to
it might
be
look like she's an alpha
Saved.
or an omega.
Saved. All Augs need to be saved. Svoboda inspired me to.
However,
I
most of the
can make you
conversation,
human again. I
most of
have
the time,
to make
conversation choices you
human
need to make
again to atone
and line
for what
into
I
the
am.
omega section. Meaning you need to humanize her and try to get her back to be more herself. Back to Daria's
This notion
personality.
you got that augmented people need saving. That there's something less than human. Look, I didn't know her, but I guarantee you Angela Gunn was a human being. Her humanity was defined by her ideas, her passions, the causes she believed in. It had nothing to do with whether or not she was augmented.
Svoboda never saw them as individuals. To him, they were victims of an age that terrified him. Mirror images of the monster he had become. He believed the entire race was under attack, that mechanization would keep our souls from migrating.
How does that sound like to you when you say it? Migration of the soul? Victims of an age? I'm not talking abstract concepts here. I'm talking about people. Svoboda never saw his victims as human beings because it would have made it impossible to do what he did. He was sick, he was scared. Whatever he was no savior.
You're right. The more he killed, the easier it became. That is why he had to repeat the actions, ritualize them. It was a way of justifying his beliefs. If you kill one man, the memory is like an anvil. If you kill 7, you quickly forget the first. It all starts to seem inevitable. Surely it must be obvious to you by now. The Daria you came here to save no longer exists. She hasn't for a long time. All that remains now is his drive, his legacy, his cause.
Again, use human eyes. Because you're still
Svoboda
trying to
didn't have
actually
a
put some
cause. He was a
humanity,
serial killer,
whatever's in
acting
that's
out on
left
impulses
over.
that he tried to couch in spiritual rhetoric. A way of convincing himself that his actions were justified, but they weren't. No amount of faith
After the
or
humanized
extraction
option's
makes it
done,
okay to dehumanize
she
people the way he
starts
did.
to become more sane.
No, it doesn't. But so what if you're right? So what that Svoboda's motivations cannot stand up to scrutiny. His actions, my actions, cannot be justified. Where does that leave me? If those others did not deserve to die, then I deserve to die.
It's not for me to judge you. I want smarter people than me to look into this neural procedure you underwent. Dig into Sipra and Tai Yun.
So you're offering me a fair trial?
I'm not offering anything. But if there's any hope of moving on here, not killing anyone else is a good start. Society has every right to judge you, and it also has a right to hear all about Cipra and Tai Young Medical. I'm not an expert on extenuating circumstances, but I'd say you have an interesting case.
You were
Only
right
very
before.
slightly
The
interesting.
override process taking time. I can feel him receding.
I mean, she had another
Memories
person's
no longer
pretty much
passion
thoughts
against me
and
like they did.
memories implanted into
Let me
her.
prove it to you. Come closer. I want
A
at
psycho
least one
nonetheless,
person
of course.
to know that I'm no longer what I was.
And yes, do approach her. She's not
All right,
completely
Daria,
insane
we need
anymore.
to get you out of here for real now. This needs to end.
The version of me who did those things to Angela. I cannot even imagine
But,
it being
anyways,
me.
after this
even though I
conversation's
know it
over,
was.
the trophy
Whatever
will
happens now,
the trophy will
whatever
pop,
the authorities decide, I
and
hope you
then there
believe
you go. You finally got your achievement,
What's going on here?
which is pretty much just
What the hell
called
am I
the
interrupting?
final harvest.
Detective Montag.
Daria's got a story to tell you.
Anyways,
How you react may have something to do with
Enjoy.
your thoughts on experimental neural therapies and big medical conglomerates.
I don't understand. Where is the harvester?
I want to turn myself in.
One of you really needs to start explaining.
I want to confess to the killings of Angela Gunn, Misha Voracek, Pavel Klima, and Leonie Wolf. I also need to tell you about the neural procedure I underwent. It involves Tai Young Medical and a man named Dr. Nicholas Cipra. I hope you'll listen.
You can handle this from here. Just listen carefully to what she has to say.
All right, Daria. I think you should start at the beginning.
2 years ago, I signed up for a program sponsored by Tai Young Medical. They said they could help people to become better versions of themselves. It all feels so long ago now. Another lifetime.
I suggest you remember everything you possibly can.